Hey, what's up? Wix here again. Welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we're going to be sorting out the turbo oil feed and oil drain lines, and also a couple of other fittings on the engine. So let's go. Alright, so another beautiful day here in Perth. I'm going to try and get some stuff done before it gets too hot. So just an update from the last episode. We got our turbo wastegate installed with the up pipe and the headers, and also positioning our exhaust properly. That still probably needs to move over a little bit, or I probably need to notch just a little bit more out of there. Sort that out later. But other stuff I've done in the meantime is I've reinstalled the water crossover pipe. Now on the back here we had a water pipe. Can't remember where that went, but I'm guessing it went to the coolant on the factory turbo, the coolant line feed. I'm not using that anymore, so I've cut that off. I've welded it up, not using that anymore. I've also installed some Aeroflow oil feed lines for the ABCS solenoids. So I've got one there, they look quite nice in the black. What else have I done? I've got my old sensors, 1, 2, sure there was more than that. That one was already there. 1, 2, I put the knock sensor in, must be just those two. I thought there was one more, find it later. But I put the sensors in, so what I've been doing is just trying to find all the oil holes and trying to plug them up. So that's where we're at. Finally got that bolted on. So next, what I'll be doing is installing our Bosch sensors. So I'm going to put it in for the oil pressure temp sensor, I'm going to put it in the same place as I did with my Type R, which is just in front here. So I need to put a M18 cap in there, and in the center it has a 1/8 MPT thread in it. And I'm also going to throw away the water temperature sensor. I was going to keep it, and I probably would have kept it if I'm using the factory dash, but I don't. I've got the Haltech dash, so I've decided to pull it out. That one is a M12 by 1.5 with a 1/8 MPT thread, so same thing as the oil. Put those in, it'll allow me to stick both sensors, one here and one there. That one will do I've decided to monitor the water pressure and temperature, well, always temperature, but also the pressure as well. And this one will do the oil pressure and temperature. So that's next to do. What else? I've bought a fitting. You must have done that up a little bit. So this fitting on the Precision Turbo is a 1/8 MPT thread on the bottom into a AN-4 male thread. So I've got to torque that down properly. And this is where the factory oil feed goes. So I've put a banjo on there with a -4 male thread on that as well. So I've got to put the turbo oil feed in there. Also I've bought a drain pipe for the turbo. That's going to go into the same. Yeah, I've got my finger here as the factory Subaru oil drain. I think that's a little bit too high, so I've bought a new fitting where I pull this one out. And there is another fitting that Aeroflow has where I can bolt it in, and it's a -10 AN male thread. So I need to pull that out, install the new fitting which I've got here, and then I've got some elbows and some -10 line to run the drain line as well for the oil. Once that's done, that's the turbo all sorted, oil feed, oil drain, yeah, and pretty much that's all that sorted. So I've got a bunch of Aeroflow bits and pieces down here, but these are the first fittings that I'll be installing. So this is the M18 into 1/8 MPT, and this one's the M12, which is the one for the water. These are my two Bosch sensors. Can I pull one out very quickly? No. Yes. So I've got two of those sensors. So these are the twin sensors that do pressure and temperature. One there, and the second one will go into that one. And this is my straight AN4 fitting, and it's a Teflon fitting with this -4 steel braided AN4 line. So I've already got a 90 on it. This is the end that'll go on the turbo, which once I get the length I'll cut that, put the straight on, and that'll go into the banjo fitting that I showed you before. So cool.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
Alright, so got the first one locked in, that's ready to put the sensor in, that's all done. And the next one, I just had a nightmare. This is the fitting. Thread broke off the fitting, went to go tighten it to the proper torque setting, and it was just like butter, it just melted. I'm guessing because it's so small. Apparently I've used the right torque setting, but it is an aluminium fitting. I'll take that back, try and get a refund for it. Like I said, that one was all good, this one not all good, so I'll have to leave that for now. That's highly annoying, but moving on. I've ordered a stainless steel smaller fitting, and I've ordered that from a different shop, EFI Solutions, I think they're over east. I've bought a few bits and pieces off them. I think I bought the sensors off them as well, so I'll have to wait for that one to get here. It's a stainless steel fitting, not aluminium, so I've also asked them for their torque settings for their fitting. So when that turns up, I will finish that one and get that one sorted. So for now I'll stick the sensor in that one with some thread sealant and start sorting out the oil lines. Alright, so I got the oil line on. I think I've made it a little bit too long for now. I might just leave it like that because I'm not actually sure what else is going here. I did want it to run alongside the engine a little bit like that, which I could do if I made it just a little bit shorter. I'll leave it for now. Once I get my TGVs on, the plenum on, maybe the oil line, I'll leave that for later until I know exactly everything that's going in there. Still got to put the coil packs in, but that's all done. So I'm moving on to the turbo oil drain. So this is my -10 oil drain gasket, couple of bolts, so I'll go ahead and put that on and hopefully get some lines on. Oh, I do have to swap out that rear fitting as well, but I'll get this on for now and let's carry on. Okay, so I got that fitting bolted up with the gasket in between. Now it's time to have a look at the line. Actually, before I do that, keep forgetting about this part. So I've got to remove this pipe here the factory turbo oil drain, remove that one and put the new one in, so I'll go and do that. So this is the new fitting that I'll be putting in. Has a couple of seals on it at the back, which is good, so that part will slot in, and it also has this little brace here with the 10mm bolt that goes in, so it's quite a nifty little piece to change it from just a normal hose to a AN fitting style type of drain. Yeah, cool, let's get this on. Okay, so here's the old drain pipe, came out pretty easy, and there's the new one all installed there. So now I have an AN fitting, which I'll put this 90 on here right now, just to kind of see what it'll look like. Alright, got that 90 fitting on, ready for a hose. And I'm not sure yet which angle to get for the drain pipe. I think I'm gonna have to go a 90. I'll chuck a 90 on and see what happens. Alright, so I've got a 90 on there. I'm not sure if I'm liking the angle that it's on. Turbo oil drains are always gravity fed. The way that it's pointing, it's kind of pointing into this framing here. I forgot the name of it. So it tells me that the hose needs to go up a little bit. I'm not sure if that's great, so I've got some hose here. I'll chuck it on the fitting. What is this, 450 series, back braided. Alright, so finally I've got my line cut. I've got both fittings on. So that's connected down there to that 90, and obviously to that 90 there as well. So I was a little bit worried, it is gravity fed, that this goes up a little bit. I think this hose is actually a little bit too long, but I also haven't tightened the fittings right up, because I need to buy one more tool, and it's an AN spanner. I never had one in the past, but I know I scratched the crap out of my fittings. I don't want to do that this time, so I need to grab a spanner. Once I do that, I will put one fitting all the way in as it should be. I'll remark the hose and cut it so it sits down lower, and then put the hose on that 90 as well, a little bit better. So if I show you over here, so by the time I do it, the hose will be a little bit lower, but it actually goes up a little bit, which is not always a good thing for a turbo oil drain. But the most important thing is that the top of the hose is still lower than the actual turbo oil drain. So as long as that hose is always lower than this point, should be okay. So that's all good. So I think that's me for today. It's starting to get pretty warm out here. I'm pretty happy. I've got one oil Bosch pressure and temp sensor in, waiting for my new fitting to turn up to finish off the water sensor. I've pretty much got my turbo oil drain sorted, and the oil feed sorted. So that's an AN4 line, Teflon line, and I'll wait till I get my new AN spanner and just sort out the proper length for this turbo oil drain. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with that. I think, what shall I do next while I'm waiting for that fitting? I've got bolts turning up hopefully tomorrow, so I can bolt the TGV deletes on. While I'm doing that, I might do the rails and the injectors. I'll bolt all that on, then I can bolt the intake on. Maybe I will, there's a few ways I can do it. I might run the harness, sort out the wiring for the sensors, or I could just bolt the alternator and the air conditioning back on. We'll see how we go. So that's the next stage for on top of the engine. Otherwise, what I could do next also is I'll need to bolt the front mount intercooler on, because I need to sort out
position where to put the new oil cooler. I'm guessing it's going to be somewhere on that side. Yeah, I'm not too sure where it's going to go. I know the turbo intercooler pipe will go from there down to the intercooler, and then obviously have to figure out this side, so I'm guessing the oil cooler is going to sit somewhere over here. But I just want to get the intercooler bolted up just so I can see where that sits and start sketching up a plan on where the piping is going to go, as well as the oil cooler. Once the oil cooler is mounted, then I can finish off the oil cooler lines to the sandwich plate. So that'll be in the next one. That's me for today. Okay, so that's me for today. Pretty happy with how I went today. Annoying about the one of the fittings that snapped, but that's life, I guess. Got a new one on the way. Everything's all good. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next episode. Ciao.